was a family affair from the beginning, so anyone on the cast and crew who'd like to join us on stage, we'd love to have you up here. Come on up, the cast and crew of Cheryl. Quick. Everyone, your name and what you did.
Kimberly Smith, the homeless woman.
Ryan Amato, Bro One.
Jason Ryder.
Colleen Dodge, production design.
Alon Zivka, producer. Kevin Hoffman played the guy. And that voice.
Priscilla Cavanaugh, writer.
Jason Sager, editor.
Lori Bullock, Dr. Laura. Paulina Brusca, homeless person.
Adam Soltis, sound and AC.
Aurora Flores. Serving that bumped me.
And we all know this lovely lady.
Well, first, my name is Quave. I'm the founder of the Bushwick Film Festival, and I'm just so excited. I'm so excited to have this film. Andrew, thank you so much for submitting and for giving us the opportunity to share your story with our audience. First question is, where did you get the story, or where did the story come from?
I have spent a lot of time in tunnels throughout my life, and with some of the people who've lived there in New York and Vegas, and I think in film the way we portray homeless people really takes away, what life is and what humanity is when you're in that position. And there's beauty everywhere, and there's loneliness everywhere. So we just wanted to make something that was true to the New York that we see changing around us, true to the people we've met in the tunnels, and just true to the world around us.
And what was the casting like? How did you find the lead?
It took about 10 seconds when I met her, and she came into a coffee shop, and in my head I said yes, and we talked for an hour, and then we made a movie. I guess a former agent representative, I don't know how you give her up, and introduced us, and we, Priscilla was here from the beginning. Where is she? Priscilla and I, we wrote the first version of this in like a week on our friend David's couch. And then Jason came in and we worked on it for another couple of weeks, and Jason added so much life to it. And we always said, when Alana and I started looking at it, we made this movie out of passion, and we said we wouldn't make it unless we had someone that could bring it to life, and we almost didn't make it. Then she walked into a coffee shop, and now we're here.
How did you develop the character?
I don't know I feel like the process was really quick from when we met. We had like an appointment, and then it was like 3 weeks later we were gonna shoot it, and I was out of town for 2 of those weeks. So there was a really truncated process. So the thing, while I was in LA and we were prepping this film, we would like have this sort of ongoing like stream of like text or email, like, watch this movie, what about this, look at this jacket I found, don't you like that, like any ideas. And I bought this Bible at a thrift store, and I like ripped it in half because it was so big, and then I just used a Sharpie to like journal as if it was the character, because I was like, this will be a good prop. So, but I better fill it in so it doesn't just look empty. And then I'm like filling it in with these like bizarre things, and I'm like, so it was like very organic the way it came together. And then as we were filming, it kind of became even more evolved and organic. And the story and I even would say like some of the like plot elements were shifting and based on what we were finding as we were shooting. And the filming of it was so experimental. That's a Jason line. The filming of it was so experimental that it was like everything went, like we could kind of do anything and he would just get it all. So we could really pick and choose what we wanted, in terms of like most shooting schedules, you have like an AD and a really intense schedule and a bunch of setups and like C-stands everywhere. But with Andrew, it was like, all right, just go exist and don't worry about it, I got your coverage. So we could really just like live in a space and trust that he would just get everything.
you completely owned the character though. Was it a lot of improv, or did you bring a lot of your personality and your experience, not your experience, your story, your story into the character?
I think so. There was a lot of improv. There was also a lot of hours that you're being filmed alone. Like digging through trash for hours. And some of the like talking to yourself elements really came from like hitting a certain maybe psychological wall where you're like, okay, we're still filming, it's freezing, I'm digging through trash, like, fuck this, and then it's like you're actually crossing over into this other, Andrew would talk about this a lot, like if you just filmed it long enough, you'd cross over into like not performing and really just like, existing in the boredom or the time or the cold or whatever it is. So I'd say it was a mix of like real experience feeding into the character and my own like emotional chords that I can resonate with as well.
Yeah. So Andrew, can you tell us a little bit about a lot of the scenes that you built with all the characters here? I mean, there's so many beautiful scenes in the movie. The one, with you two at your home, and it was just so magical, and it was just so many moments within the entire story that just seemed so special.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was, I got lost in how nice you were speaking to me. What's the question? I'm sorry. Yeah. I was like, that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me about something I've made, so thank you. Yeah, our crew was essentially 4 people for the film. So we really relied on our cast, and it was like one of the most fun anthropological missions of my life, finding all these beautiful faces who were here, came from so many different routes and so many different resources, and we just wanted to live in it. So I have a process that I use for scenes like this where we kind of just live in them all day. So I'll take 4 to 6 hours and we just live in the scene, and it's just like anything in life, that suddenly it's alive. And I remember when we were in your apartment, we filmed in Aurora's apartment. So, we got all the good stuff for that one. And, and it was conversations we had before, then getting Annapurna, talk together. We would just keep building and building the scenes, and I would just shoot the entire time until it had a heartbeat. And then we'd eat lunch.
One of the things too, Andrew wouldn't really let me talk to any of the other actors until we shot the scenes. So with Aurora and even with Sonia, who's my like now beautiful bunkmate, yeah, right? She's insanely talented. There was this like awkwardness where Andrew would be like, don't talk to them, don't ask any questions, like save it for the scene. So I had to like not be myself and sort of then wait until we're rolling to then ask Aurora like her actual questions about her life.
Yeah.
And then she just like, we just really, remember Andrew was just like, all right, you guys just make dinner. And we just did. Right?
It was an incredible experience. And I have to say, I will give a lot of props to Andrew. And then when I did research on him, I said, oh, so he comes from guerrilla filmmaking, from MTV. That's why when I looked at the script and I told him, don't stereotype me to this little old lady that not speaking mucho Spanish like this. And I said, we come from a different time, and he heard me out. He listened, which is the incredible thing. He didn't go by what he had already preconceived. He listened, and when I talked about my musical experience, what El Barrio was about, what women were about, and then I told him, and I cook. And he said, well, why don't we cook something? I said, I have no problem with that, let's do it. Yeah. So it became then very fluid. It became, like you said, organic. But more than that, there was like in music, in music, everyone plays a different part. But when we play together, we call it like a pocket, a groove, and then it all sounds like one, and that's how the scene seemed to me. Once we got into it, there was a flow. She asked me questions, I answered her back. There was a flow. And then even at that moment, Andrew was like, well, let's do this, let's do that, let's bring out the curtain and open it, or all of that. So it was very dynamic. It was very dynamic. So I will have to say that it was something that was, it made a difference. It was like magic. It was like magic, Andrew. You made the magic, Andrew.
You make the magic, so thank you very much.
Andrew, you sound like an incredible director to work with. I know we really have limited time, but I would like to maybe pass the mic around, and if you guys can just talk, just like briefly, a little bit about what was special to you about working on this project.
Oh, that would be so nice.
Well, I found this like online through Actors Access, and I went in and they cast me on the spot, and I thought that they were joke. I thought they like weren't. I was like, that's not a real film. It's not. They were like, we don't know what it is. We're gonna make it. We don't know if it will be in the movie. And I was like, I just didn't really believe them. But yeah, we shot for 2 days, and worked with that beautiful baby, and I don't know. It was it was a very surprising, beautiful experience.
You've heard from me, but I'll just say, as an actress of color, it's really hard to have opportunities where you get to be the lead in a film, and also opportunities where you get to not be a stereotyped lead in a film. And this was a gift that I got from Andrew and Alon and Jason, because this was the first time someone took a chance on me.
Wow, so I was found through New York Casting online, and when I received the email, I was like, I got lines, I'm speaking, my first speaking role, that was very awesome for me, and it was also organic because I, once upon a time, was homeless. So it was fitting. The glove definitely fit well. And I gotta say that Andrew and Alan, listen, y'all did your thing. Y'all did your thing, and I enjoyed myself. The costumes, he was saying, whatever you have old at home with holes in it or whatever, just bring it, you know, and that's what we did, and we rocked and rolled. And I'm so glad to have been a part of this.
When I was sent the sides by Andrew, and I started reading the role, I went, wow, I like this script. I like this writing. And when I saw that they mentioned Moondog, I knew Moondog. I went to school with his daughter. She used to take me in front of 52nd Street and Avenue of the Americas. He was always there in front of the CBS building. And when I saw that, I just thought that alone got me. I said, I gotta at least meet this guy and find out how come they have Moondog just mentioned here, and they gotta do more than just mention him. So I love the scene when she took the records from that trick, and then she said, no, you can't just give me $4. Come on, this is Moondog here. This is, no. So that to me was great. And again, when I saw that this was the kind of person who looked into improvisation, and my thing is music, Latin music, and when you talk about Latin music or jazz, we're talking about improvisation, and that's what we did. It was music. In today's day, I came from a time when we thought we were the counterculture, when we thought we were protesting. I gotta say, compared to today, we were practicing. And this film, to me, what really did it to me, the core of it, is about immigration. What ICE is doing today, the heartlessness, the inhumanity, and then the homelessness that happens. This film is about today. And it talks to the humanity of what America is supposed to be. So that's what I want to leave people with.
I'm Brian Amato. I auditioned for one of the bros. I auditioned at my parents' house, and Andrew was like, I want you to scream a little more. And I screamed a little more, and he was like, no, just a little more. And then, next thing you know, I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. My dad looks, he's like, what is going on in that room? But I love the film. I'm so happy to be a part of it, and thank you.
My name is Jason. I know Andrew from back when advertising days. My involvement, yeah, long time ago. And I guess I would just say first that I'm clinically crazy, which helped in sort of capturing some aspects of the character. And I also am a big music collector, so I know a lot about Moondog. And it was just a pleasure to flow some of my own life experiences and references to culture into a character, and to allow, you know, other people in this great big machine that is involved in the movie to bring that to life. So, thank you all.
When Andrew and I first started talking about this project, I was like, I don't know how we're gonna build a mole person shack in a tunnel. Like, that's crazy. And by the end of this film, I feel like the biggest thing I walked away with is proof that filmmaking is a communal process, that it requires the whole village to create something. And we built the shack in my basement, to which my roommate's here, so thank you for letting us take over the house. And it allowed us to remain authentic and also keep allowing spaces for Anna and Andrew to explore in. And so, thank you guys.
I'll just simply say this is the first time I felt that I was being equally treated as a filmmaker as an actor. Not in the sense that any actors were trying to do anyone else's job, but just you know, feeling like a filmmaker as well, and that it goes along with the community. So I really thank Andrew for embracing everything that I am, and everything I do, and vice versa. And then I'll just also say that working with Annapurna was an incredibly great learning experience, and she's one of the most generous people I've ever collaborated with. So I just learned a lot from everything, and yeah, so thank you.
This was an amazing experience for me. We just sort of fell into writing this like a really weird transition time and time of loss in my life, and it was just sort of this perfect outlet and darkness that I needed to fall into. And we ate a lot of donuts, which I needed also. So yeah, it was a really cathartic experience. So thank you, Andrew, for bringing me into that apartment and trusting me and taking weird mind walks, and it's a beautiful film, so congratulations.
First, I just wanted to say congratulations to everybody up here, and Andrew and Alon and Annapurna, and everybody who came up to see the film. It's really wonderful, and I'm just really happy to be a part of it. But more than anything, I just kind of really gravitated to the story and the script because it's very personal to me. My grandfather was homeless, and he was sort of lost for a very long time, and some people had found him, and I grew up with him from the age from 7 to, I'd say, 40. He recently passed away when he was in his 90s, so you know, homeless people, although they don't have a home for the moment, they came from a home, and they're real people, and they're really genuine, and they have character, and they're just incredible human spirits. So I think that's why I was really drawn to the project, because, you know, we're all humans. It doesn't matter. You don't have to have an address to be an inhabitant of the world. So thank you.
I'm so thankful to have been a part of this. I promised Alon and Andrew that one day I would tell them just how thankful I was.
Just that spirit of collaboration and building on art and film, and I think that's what it's all about. It's just building on what came before you and trying to make something new and fun.
I still have no idea how we made this movie. But I want to thank you all for coming here and watching this. It means a lot, especially to see a full house.
I would like to just thank Andrew for having me be a part of this film. It was without a doubt the ultimate New York City adventure. It's crazy. That's it.
I've been making films since I was 17, pretty professionally here and there, and this is the first film I've ever had at a film festival, and it was my first real New York screening of a film I've made.